Well, hello, everybody. Good afternoon, good morning, whatever time it is where you are, and welcome to Urban One and the National Foundation for Credit Counseling's combined efforts to pave the way forward. We're going to have a very important conversation today. It is so important when you look at the problems that we're having financially as it relates to financial literacy amongst African Americans. This is a very important conversation because whenever you're not financially savvy or financially intelligent, it has generational impacts on us as people because we tend to pass on what we know. And if we don't know something, we can't pass it on. I was thinking, for example, a lot of us are not aware of all the grants and scholarships that exist in our community uh, for education. And when you don't know those funds and resources are available, you naturally go and get a student loan. And now you have an enormous hole that you're climbing out of for decades while other people are building assets and building wealth. We're just trying to climb out of a hole. So I'm so excited that this forum is taking place today. And our guests will not only educate us today, but they're going to point us to reliable sources that can literally change our lives for generations. Our guests today are Barry Coleman. Barry is the Vice President of Program Management and Education at the National Foundation for Credit Counseling. Also joining us today is Hermond Palmer. He is the Vice President of Outreach and Inclusion for the National Foundation of Credit Counseling. We also have with us representing the faith-based organizations, Reverend Stacey D Mills, who's the pastor at Mountain View Baptist Church in downtown Greenville, South Carolina. And finally, our guest is Reverend Kevin H. Murphy, who's the Associate Pastor of Illumination at the Enon Tabernacle Baptist Church of Philadelphia, PA. Gentlemen, welcome and thanks so much for giving us your time today to be with us. Barry, I want to start with you today. Would you please tell us about the National Foundation for Credit Counseling and particularly the Faith-Based Alliance program and what type of counseling support that you all have in your program?
Sure, Pastor Battle. I'd be more than happy to do that. So the National Foundation for Credit Counseling, NFCC, is the nation's largest and longest-serving nonprofit financial counseling organization dedicated to improving the financial lives of consumers. In this initiative, the NFCC is partnering with the faith community to provide financial counseling and education on a variety of subjects to those who seek to improve their overall financial health. Now, the program is made possible through generous support from Wells Fargo, TD Bank, and Freddie Mac. The goal of this faith-based initiative is to engage with local faith leaders, organizations, and institutions that are willing to make a commitment to enriching the lives of those in low to moderate and middle income communities, many of which have been severely underserved. Now, we believe that by empowering those in our communities with financial knowledge, skills, and resources, we can help enable sustainable financial independence now and in the future. The goal of the financial counseling and education programs offered through this faith-based alliance are to meet individuals where they are, helping them to achieve their financial goals and objectives and overcome financial obstacles and potential pain points. We provide counseling and education for those who may be renters, aspiring homeowners, small business owners, and those with credit card and student loan debt. It's important to note that our counseling programs are confidential and tailored to the needs of those who come to us. And importantly, we believe they are non-judgmental. We realize that there are some who have experienced financial setbacks, so our approach is to provide encouragement and support to help look beyond those setbacks and help build a brighter and sustainable financial future.
Well, let me say thank you for what you all are doing. It means so much to our community, and I want to personally say thank you on behalf of the community. How long has the foundation been in existence?
So the National Foundation of Credit Counseling has been around since 1951, so a very long time. We've helped millions and millions of consumers make a better or take a better approach to their own financial well-being through counseling and financial education. We are located, we have members that are located across the U.S. in every state and in Puerto Rico. And our goal as a nonprofit is to provide financial education and to help individuals live a better financial life.
So I know Barry and Hermond, I'm about to come to you in a second, but I know Barry, you see a lot of different financial needs, from debt and the inability to get access to resources and funds, and knowing how to access capital. What would you say are maybe the top 2 or 3 needs that you all have to address repeatedly in our community? What would you say if you say, here what walks through our door, here's the thing we have to deal with the most? What are you seeing the most?
Yeah, so I would say just overall financial management in general, setting a budget and spending plan and sticking to that plan so that you don't overextend yourself. It's interesting that there are many that come to us from all communities that don't have the basic knowledge and understanding of how to just manage your day-to-day of finances. They sort of allow those finances to manage them as opposed to them managing their finances. So that's, I would say, one of the biggest issues that we see is just basic overall financial management. And then secondly, I would say it's overextending when it comes to credit instruments. Perhaps, running up debt on or student debt. And then before you know it, you're in a situation where it's very difficult to untangle that. And so our credit counselors are trained and certified to help consumers overcome those challenges with practical advice and information to help them, again, to live better financial lives and take control of their finances.
Awesome. Hermond, I'm going to come to you now because I think it's important that our listeners and viewers are aware and understand why particularly this faith-based program, Alliance program, is so important right now. Can you talk about that?
Sure. And thank you, Pastor Bell. I appreciate you. It's important when you look at it from a lens of looking at what we went through with the pandemic. The COVID-19 pandemic had a tremendously adverse impact on the financial well-being of many citizens throughout this nation. The impact was even more pronounced for communities of color and underserved communities. Now, when I say that, I don't mean to say that it didn't have an impact on the middle class, upper middle class, or affluent communities. They weren't immune. They experienced it too. There were a lot of lawyers, PhDs, pilots, MBAs who are in the white collar profession who were very much impacted. But as it relates to what we're dealing with now, according to a financial health network survey, the majority of Americans, 90%, I believe, say that financial considerations impact their stress levels. Separately, according to a 2022 TIA financial wellness survey, more than half of Americans say they feel stressed about money. Just 25% of adults follow a budget. Of those, only 78% say they have enough funds to sustain them for 6 months. And that's the principle that we should all be following. This is important because, as we've seen, the pandemic lasted for much longer than 6 months. And some families are still reeling from the effects of job loss or loss of hours. For that reason, it is important for all of us to recognize having a good income is great, but what are our underlying behaviors as it relates to managing that income? What the pandemic showed us is that anyone is vulnerable to a financial crisis. That's why this faith-based alliance is so important. With this program, we connect people with trusted certified nonprofit resources whose sole purpose is to help support individuals in learning and understanding how to better manage their finances to achieve better outcomes for the long term. We have to focus on getting access to knowledge, resources, and our behaviors. I'm talking about little things that add up to big things, such as understanding and managing the difference between wants versus needs, how to effectively manage credit, why that's important, why credit is important in our society today, how to buy a home, the wealth building and tax benefits of owning a home, the importance of having an estate plan that includes a will, a medical directive, power of attorney. 70% of Black folk don't have an estate plan. And that's important because not having an estate plan is one of the quickest ways Black folk lose family-owned property and in some cases, thriving businesses. For small business owners and entrepreneurs, we need to understand how to separate our personal finances from our business finances and why that's important. And in some extreme cases, for anyone who needs it, when it is the best option, how to best navigate a bankruptcy. Now, I know that's hard to hear. It's hard to say. It's nasty in my mouth, but we need to understand bankruptcy exists for a reason. We need to understand bankruptcy is a tool. And as a tool, we need to recognize that it exists, what the benefits of it are, and how and when to use it. So in response to all that I've just shared, the Faith-Based Alliance engages the community in several ways so that they can learn and understand what to do, when to do, why to do, how to do, and with whom to do it. We have live scheduled virtual presentations that are recorded and are accessible by a link. And if you cannot make the live presentation, the best thing to do is to go to a recorded session, and we have that at www.nfcc.org/faith-based/ to view the recording. You can also call into those. In these, we identify critical topics of audience interest that address the topics that are identified by us prior to the presentation. During these presentations, we also identify the counseling needs of the audience and, where appropriate, work to connect them with the resources available through our member agencies and our strategic partners. Now, as I said, the presentations are conducted virtually and are led by qualified, vetted subject matter experts. The sessions themselves, they can range anywhere from 60 minutes to 120 minutes with time allotted for Q&A. And I just want to share with you some of the topics that we are covering or will cover: wills and estate plan, tax prep, student loans, foreclosure and eviction, insurance overview, how to best, for entrepreneurs, how to best utilize the Small Business Administration, small business strategic planning, and in time for the holiday season, shopping responsibly. So I want to say again, it's critically important that everyone recognize that we are working towards making sure we are informed and we are empowered. A lot of people don't reach out for support because of shame and pride. Well, pride, in the case of home ownership, will get you put outside. We have to focus on getting people the access to knowledge, resources they need so they can be informed, they can make informed decisions that, where necessary, allow them to change their behavior so they can achieve goals that result in better financial outcomes. And I'll stop there because I can get passionate about this. So I'll stop.
No, I appreciate that context. And I think it's brilliant to form this alliance with the faith-based organizations and local churches, because one of the things in the Black church that we still have is the congregational confidence in their man of God or their woman of God, right? And
Absolutely.
so, you know, it's one thing for you to come by and say, hey, you need a will, or you need an estate plan. But there's so much, people are so overwhelmed with just keeping up day to day that it needs that voice of their prophet. And when the pastor says, hey, we got to put this in place too, it's beyond, which challenges and stretches us. As I'm about to go to Reverend Mills right now, it challenges us to not just talk about tithes and offerings when it comes to finances. is that we got to have more holistic conversations with our congregation about their economic well-being that bridges the gap to the kind of services that you all provide. And with that being said, I want to go to Reverend Stacey Mills, Pastor Mills, pastor of Mountain View Baptist Church. Your church is actually presently involved in supporting this program. Can you tell us a little bit about how the program is working for you guys there at Mountain View Baptist Church?
Reverend Battle, thank you so much. I'm excited to be able to talk about what's happening at Mountain View Baptist Church in the city of Greenville, South Carolina. Can anything good come out of a city like South Carolina or a city in Greenville? Mountain View Baptist Church in the pandemic, I was listening to Barry and Hermond talk about some of the challenges that we face as a people. Our church launched the Parish House Community Development Corporation during the pandemic to address these specific needs. And that is, we were preaching a series of moving from surviving to thriving. And when Barry was talking about some of the habits and how we live, how we manage our day-to-day living, John 10:10, Christ said, I came that you might have life and have it more abundantly. And so we unpack the practical steps of what abundant living is about. And that involves this helping people get over these hurdles. I believe that a credit score carries a spirit with it. And if it's a good credit score, it's a spirit that, people are jubilant and happy. If it's a bad credit score, people are down and depressed. And, our effort is to break that cycle, break that spirit, so that all people can understand that you can take control and manage your day-to-day living. And that's one of the things that we're excited about, what's happening with NFCC. Our folks in Greenville, as in most cities across the country, there are housing crises, and out of the pandemic, we found a lot of people facing evictions and foreclosures. So this counseling that's being offered through NFCC takes me out of it. As you mentioned a moment ago, the pastor, the man or woman of God is seen as, central to a lot of things, but there are some things we don't need to be in the middle of, and having a professional resource to outsource to is a godsend. These are gifts that I would encourage any pastor to unpack, take your congregation down this path to not only think about the emotional experience of worshiping on Sunday, but the balance of living on Monday. And this team through NFCC has put in place remarkable toolkit that we are happy to push out. Anything these gentlemen send me, I'm pushing it right out to our people so that they can take advantage of it. Student loan debt, you were talking about that. My daughter graduated Spelman College. She finished in 3 years her undergraduate degree with zero debt, and is on her way to NYU for grad school. And this changes generations for our families. And I think we have a moment of opportunity to seize a change in generational direction. And I just encourage anybody to get involved with it. Reverend Battle, I think this is noteworthy for us to be able to have this conversation today.
Reverend Mills, thank you so much. And before I go to Reverend Murphy, I want to just a quick follow-up out of curiosity. I know you're not as engaged because you have the subject matter experts with NFCC to help. Have you been able to ascertain what's the most sought after service that your congregation is navigating towards through their services?
Certainly. And I do want to say that up to the point that we hand off, we are involved, whether it's me or a staff person. We see people at their worst or their best. People show up at church, they want to look great, feel great, but the truth is just underneath the surface, under that tie, under that hat, they're trying to figure out how to manage life, man. And when we can get them to honestly show up in their authentic selves, we can get to the core of what's really bothering them, what's happening to them. And what we found is that eviction and foreclosure counseling, credit counseling is at the top of the list these days. How to hold on to property that they've worked hard to earn or to keep a roof over their heads. And we're finding that to be the case in Greenville, South Carolina. And to have a outlet or a network through NFCC is really a tremendous blessing to us. And I know I can see the results on the faces of our people when they come back and they've got a tool that helps them manage their day-to-day lives. And that we've seen that, Reverend Battle, where I would say top of the list is the eviction foreclosure counseling, but then second would be student loan and how to pull themselves up on that continuum of economic mobility, which I want to give a shameless plug. We are having a Black Economic Mobility Summit here in Greenville, June 15th, 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. If you're in the area, we'd love to have you join us at the Greenville Convention Center.
Wow, thank you so much for what you all are doing there in Greenville. And, you know, you jog my memory about something we have in our church, a benevolence program to help people when they're in crisis. And for years, we said that we don't pay car notes because we didn't consider it essential. And so we said, listen, if you're 2-3 months behind on your car note, why don't we do this? Let's pay your mortgage. And then you take your mortgage payment, pay your car note. Because we figured shelter and utilities in the winter were more of a priority. And then we started finding out these people are sleeping in their cars.
Wow.
It's that bad now.
Wow.
So when we pay a car note, we're paying for somebody's shelter, unfortunately. And I'm talking about in Prince George's County, Maryland, one of the wealthiest African-American counties in the country. It is a serious problem here. And we're talking about a goal to get to 6 months. Like people are just trying to come off the air, right? So that this is a very important conversation. I want to go now to Pastor Kevin Murphy. First of all, you know the Bible says the last shall be first, right? So thank you for your patience, Pastor. And before I ask you this question, Pastor, I gotta ask this, Pastor. Can you explain what the pastor of Illumination is? That's your office there at the church. So I want to know, first of all, what is the pastor of Illumination? What do you do? Because I've never heard of that before, that you do at the Enon Church. And then tell us exactly what was the deciding factor that got you guys involved in this NFCC faith-based program?
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Pastor Battle, and thanks for having me today. It's an honor for me to be a part of this discussion with you distinguished gentlemen. My title is Associate Pastor of Illumination. Here at the Enon Tabernacle Baptist Church, located in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, our senior pastor, Reverend Dr. Alan Waller, has established 8 communities by which our church is run. We are a fairly large church with approximately 12,000 members, and we're broken into 8 different communities. The community that I'm responsible for is Illumination, and traditionally that's Christian education and training or discipleship. And so I am responsible for all of the training at the church, from Christian education from kindergarten through ministry training, as well as practical life experience, because we employ a holistic approach to ministry. So in addition to Christian education, I'm also responsible for our African heritage ministry, making sure that we are constantly teaching about our heritage and our history. Also, we have a financial ministry, which I'll talk about in a minute, which was dealing with some of the same topics, but not as thoroughly and not as in a wider scope as we are with the NFCC Alliance. And we also have ministries that help folks in their daily lives. And so the guiding factor for me to get involved with this was the fact that Hermond Palmer asked me. Because when you have a friend that you trust, if he asks you to get involved with him, my initial response is always yes. Now let's figure out how to do it. But secondly, I had a conversation with Pastor Waller, and once I had the discussion with him and talked to him about how we were trying to spread financial literacy to underserved communities, especially underserved communities of persons who are African American or Hispanic. He was all for it because one of the things that we recognize is financial literacy is key to biblical stewardship. It's a part of it. It's akin to biblical management of your funds, management of your resources. And we also realized, as always has always already been mentioned, that many people are living from paycheck to paycheck, are struggling with credit card debt, in a lot of cases didn't have enough knowledge to be successful as a first time home buyer, didn't understand that they were paying exorbitant high interest rates on their current mortgage, but could refinance that, especially during the pandemic when interest rates went low. And even there, people losing hours on their jobs or losing their jobs as a result of the pandemic. And they're coming to the church with these issues. And we thank God that they were bold enough to come to us, to come especially to our deacon ministry and talk about some of the struggles. And so being a part of this alliance is really important to me, to try to help as many people as we possibly can to understand the financial systems, the financial structure in this country, and how to not only survive but thrive. And so all of that kind of built into our participation in this alliance. And then to top it off, and nobody's mentioned it yet, is that it's free. And you're talking about information from competent, supremely qualified presenters who have been vetted, who you can then go vet yourself. So we trust them to give us truthful information, no scams, no Ponzi schemes, nobody's out for themselves. They're just here to help people understand how to create a budget, understand the importance of insurance and the best types of insurance, understand how to buy a house for the first time and get a good mortgage from a competent financial institution with as low a possible rate as possible, understand their credit score and the importance of having a good credit score, and how it impacts more than just the purchase price or the amount of interest that you're going to pay. And so it's all again about holistic ministry for the entire family. And the more people that understand all of these financial related subjects, the better off we believe people will be, no matter what your economic position is. If you have a lot, then you manage it better, you get more. If you have little, you can manage it and you get more, because and really we all know it's because of God's blessings. But
Amen.
also he leaves the responsibility on us to manage. And if we can help people get to the place where through our workshops, through the alliance, they can have this knowledge. And then also for those who have gone down the wrong path, made a mistake, are in a situation, whether it's with credit or foreclosure, we have NFCC there with multiple counselors in multiple areas that can help. And so that's why this is so important to me. And that's, why we are involved here at the Enon Tabernacle Baptist Church in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Hey, thank you so much, Pastor Murphy. And I got two follow-up questions for you, but something you raised, I wanna put back on the table for Barry or Hermond, whoever wants to tackle this, and that is the skepticism around people who offer financial services. It's got to be some kind of back fee. He's going to take my money and he's going to. So how is it possible that you all are able to do this for free? Put it out there so that people will understand that no, we're getting compensated. There's another way that we do it that we don't have to charge. Can you explain how this works professionally and how you all are able to make these services free to people?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll respond and give Hermond an opportunity too as well. But we have been fortunate. We're in a nonprofit organization. NFCC is a nonprofit organization. But we've been fortunate enough to gain support from the likes of Wells Fargo, TD Bank, Freddie Mac, and with other programs, other funders as well. Many of them recognize the work that the NFCC does. They believe in their communities. They want to invest in their communities. And even though that, most of them are in the business of making money, they also believe in giving back. And so we have been blessed to be able to partner with organizations, for-profit organizations that truly care about their communities as well, and want to give back and want to help people. Many of them believe that an educated consumer makes a better customer. So it's a win-win for not only the consumers, but the organizations that provide the funding to support these educational initiatives.
Awesome. Hermond, anything to add, or did
I will add that I think Barry said most of it. One thing I will say is we also have certain foundations that support us. We hope to get more, honestly. People who have heart, organizations that have heart for this work, that to give back to the community, that will prosper as a result of their investment and seeing that good work. We, as Barry said, we are a nonprofit, so we're not here to take your money. We're here to make sure you better manage your money. That's our goal. So,
and awesome. I'll also say in the NFCC, the vast majority of those that work in our counseling organizations and at the NFCC, we really have a passion for this work. We work in the nonprofit world. We're not getting rich, but we really want to give back to our communities. Most of us feel that we've been blessed in our personal lives, and we want to help others. We really have the heart to help, and that's why we do what we do.
Can I share one personal story?
You're sure?
Real
Absolutely.
Quick. Barry mentioned that we have a passion for this business. My father, unfortunately, was killed on his job as a longshoreman when I was 9. It was myself, my brother and sister who were 5 years younger, and my mom. We lived in the Bronx. When he was killed, we were fortunate enough, my mom was real good with the money we had and moved us out, and we bought a home. But one of the experiences that had an impact on me was seeing my mother spread the bills out on the table and go through paying them. That created in me a desire to make sure I managed my money well, because I understood if we goofed on any of those bills, the lights could go off, the water could stop, it'd be cold, we could lose the house. That's what sparks the passion. I don't think anybody should go without, because I know how fearful I was of having that risk. That's what sparks my passion. That's why I'm committed to this work, and I'm not alone in this work.
There's a guy named Louis Greenup down in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and he says your misery becomes your ministry. Yeah. And so our pain is connected to our purpose, right? That's kind of how that bridge happens, that wasn't wasted pain. And thank you for helping others based on your experience. Pastor Murphy, I'm coming back to you. Got a twofold question. One is, you're on the spot here. How has the NFCC's program lived up to your expectations? How are they performing as far as your expectations were? And then the second, similar question to what I asked Pastor Mills, from Enon Tabernacle's participation, what are you finding to be the most sought after service and counseling service from your congregation there in Philadelphia?
Let me start with the second question first. And I think 2 things that have bubbled up. Number one, student loan applications. The whole financing of college education has come to the forefront as a major issue for us. And it came to the forefront through one of our workshops, one of our sessions, and Brother Barry Coleman happened to be the presenter that night. And at least I've had at least eight or nine people who attended that session approach me about it and say they are now better equipped to deal with financing their child's education. The second thing that was really big with people who were paying exorbitant mortgage interest rates, and as a result of one of the workshops, they then were able to refinance. And I'll add my personal testimony to that my wife and I, utilizing much of the information that's being provided through these workshops, we were able to refinance our home as well, and move from, reduce our interest rate by 3 percentage points, which is very significant to us. And so, that's my personal testimony. But there's one that's even larger than that. We had an individual who was trying to get a loan to do some renovations to their home, and they kept getting denied. And through one of the workshops, they were made aware of the importance of checking their credit report for errors. What they did then is they found an error, but then I was able to connect them directly to Hermond, who was then able to put them in touch with a certified credit counselor, who then worked with them. The issue was resolved, the mistake was removed, they received the loan, and the construction has begun on the renovations. And so I would say that my expectations have not only been met, but they've been surpassed. Because to me, I kind of look at it like we do as pastors and preachers. If we can help one, then our living is not in vain. If we can help one, and we've had the opportunity to help several. So I hope that answers your question. And I'm one of the ones that's been helped through the spreading of this information.
Absolutely phenomenal and encouraging. I want to go back to my NFCC guests today, the experts. Talked earlier, somebody mentioned, it was Pastor Murphy, mentioned about people living from paycheck to paycheck, right? And for somebody, that's good. I remember living from paycheck to the day after payday.
Yeah.
Shoot, I don't know how I'm going to make it to the next paycheck. That would be nice to live from paycheck to paycheck. Right. Day after payday being broke. And the other thing that I noticed too is, like, my children don't know how to write checks. Like this whole world. Like, I asked my son the other day, "How do you pay your bills?" He said, "I got this." I don't even know what he said.
Yeah.
Like I still write checks and put them in the envelope and lick the stamps. Like, I know I'm way outdated. Has any of in your experience, in your years of working in the financial intelligence world, has modernity negatively impacted our understanding of finances, or has it benefited? I mean, all tools can have benefits. What are you seeing amongst younger people? If you're talking to them, where are some of the gaps in training, that you're finding? Does that make sense, what I'm asking?
It absolutely does. And I think it's a great question. And so you're absolutely right. I mean, in today's modern world, the way people transact financial business and financial tasks is completely different from when I came up. To your point, a lot of people don't write checks. I mean, I personally don't write many myself, and I'm accustomed. I grew up in an era where that's how you pay bills. So I think that there is a place for many of the modern financial instruments, but I do believe what's lacking is the background knowledge behind, the use of these modern financial instruments. The basics have sort of been glassed over, and people aren't equipped with that basic financial knowledge that applies regardless of whether you're living in 1963 or you're living in 2023. And so I do believe that people can still be successful in this modern world financially, but they have to understand the basics. And there are certain basic principles that apply no matter what. Don't spend more than you earn. Save money for large purchases. Don't overextend yourself. Separate wants from needs. All of those things are still as important today as they were decades ago. So the only difference is how we transact this financial business. But I think the basic principles are all the same. And so that's one of the things that our members tried to do, is to provide that basic financial education that seems to be lacking, I believe, in today's society with younger people.
So who one of the questions that is coming up is, who's eligible for you all service, from individual or faith-based organizations? Do you have support for senior citizens? What are the qualifications to get support? There's
Yeah.
a question
Yes.
online now. Somebody's been retired for over 20 years. What can senior citizens get to help? And how can people enroll in the program? Why don't we also encourage that now as well?
Sure. So the good news is it's open to everyone that is interested. That's the great thing about this. For faith-based organizations that are interested in joining the NFCC Faith-Based Alliance program, we would love to have you and your congregations involved. We see the importance of the faith community and houses of worship in supporting their communities, passing on sound advice, making referrals to trusted organizations, and we'd love for you to be a part of it. The program is offered to all faiths in all communities. As long as the faith-based organization is interested in empowering those in the community with financial counseling and education resources, you are all welcome to participate. Our goal is to reach all communities and to make financial counseling and education available to all that need it. And you can reach out to the NFCC for more information on how to get connected. Our information has been scrolling along the bottom of the screen here. For individuals that are interested in financial counseling services from trusted NFCC nonprofit organizations, you can get connected at nfcc.org/faith-based, or call our toll-free number, which is 833-691-6299 to begin the process. But it's open to everyone. We realize everyone's situation is different. Through our group education sessions, you can get a taste of the education that we provide. And if you need one-on-one confidential personal counseling, there is a way to get connected where your own individual situation can be addressed. We look at your own goals and your own objectives, and help you develop a personalized action plan to address whatever your financial issues are. I might also add that we're connected to many other resources within the community. And so if someone needs, say, food assistance because they have food insecurity, we have partners that we can refer individuals to. If you need legal advice because of a financial situation, we typically have resources in the community that we can refer folks to. So not only do we provide financial counseling and advice, but we also provide referrals to trusted resources. And so everyone that comes to us for counseling leaves with their personalized action plan with that information in writing or sent electronically that you can refer to later and follow the plan. And then follow-up counseling is available if you have questions or obstacles that you can't overcome. Our counselors can help in that way as also.
Okay.
It's open to everyone that needs help. We're here to help.
I appreciate that. I want to go to back to Reverend Mills, and Pastor Murphy. You can chime in on this as well. Obviously, we got to do a better job of getting our congregations involved in this kind of information that you guys have already done. We tend to exist in our sacred bubbles, and then we, often the last to find out about these kind of opportunities. So, what do you guys see as maybe some boulders that we have to overcome to get more pastors involved in not only getting this information, but actively engaging in this kind of engaging their congregation in this kind of services. Are you following, tracking with me? Because
Absolutely. Yep.
a lot of territorial stuff going on, as we know. What do you find? What do you guys see as barriers to getting more churches plugged into these resources?
I think you definitely nailed it with the siloism. We're just kind of siloed into our own areas, and if the current socioeconomic dynamic doesn't tell us anything, it should tell us that we need each other. And we've launched something, or at least I operate from a cooperative economics perspective in our church. And that's the way it's been always, how our churches function. People give. And just deploying those resources back into our community to make a difference is what we've embarked upon to show as a mechanism for change. And our being willing to lay aside the titles and I guess the egos that go along with that, to understand that our call is to serve this present age. I'm from the South, gentlemen, and we still have that old common meter hymn book, and in it is an old song that says, to serve this present age, my calling to fulfill. And then go home, my crown to wear, for there's a crown for me. And we certainly have to embrace that, to understand, even thinking about succession plans. How will the church thrive beyond us as people, as men, as women in these current roles? Are we able to make a difference that is bigger than us? And I think it's just really, I'm not sure how Reverend Murphy sees this, but the kingdom mindset, it can't just be words on a page. It has to be activated so that our people will understand that there is an answer, and we're not in competition with each other. Our families are not in competition with each other. When we do better, a family does better, we all do better. And the scripture teaches us that we rejoice with them that do rejoice, we weep with those that weep. It suggests to us that it is a together mindset that is reflective of the kingdom dynamic. And the thing that I would say that stands in our way is the lack of knowledge, the pride, the unwillingness for us to come out of those silos and say we don't know. I'm first to say, not only from a time constraint, I am thrilled to have experts that I could reach out to and say, hey guys, can you help in this way? And I'm given, as to the New Testament instruction, to prayer and study of the Word of God, and we've got folks that are able to join with us and help us. I think that this lack of knowledge and pride and egos keep us from getting to the things that we need, and I think that need is best demonstrated in our ability to build community and reflect the kingdom.
Awesome, so well said. Pastor Murphy, anything to add to that?
Absolutely. First of all, I wanted to say that I concur with what you stated there, Pastor Battle, that we're too much in our silos. And number two, I concur with everything that Reverend Mills has said in his response. But and I think that one of the things that we have to do, first of all, is be open, honest, and transparent. And the second thing that I think we need to do procedurally, and it's an area that we're starting to work on, is to share this with our friends and other pastors that we have relationships with already. For example, another one of the reasons why Pastor Waller was so willing to get involved and have Enon involved in this is because of his relationship with, and our relationship with, Pastor Cedric Jones Jr., who is the pastor of the historic Mount Zion Baptist Church here in Philadelphia. He's a part of the core team of folks who came together with Hermond to put this together. And so when I told Pastor Waller that Pastor Jones was involved, and he said, "Well, yeah, well, I know Cedric well, and you know, we've been there, we fellowship together, and so that was a part of creating the comfort level. For me, it was with Hermond. For Pastor Waller, it was with Pastor Jones. And so one of the things that I believe we have to do is reach out to those pastors who we have relationship with, and yep, let it be on us, and recommend it personally. You need to do this. You need to check this out. And not only that, just check it out. Come to some of the sessions. At the end of the session, take down a copy of all of the vetted resources that are provided, and check them out yourself. Even if you just Google them, you'll see that they're credible, they're competent, that the information that we're providing is correct. And then from that, we can start building out. And then once we get one other person to understand what this is, then ask them to help their friends understand, and it becomes a network of pastors who are trusting each other, as Pastor Mills has said, from a kingdom point of view. Okay, and then every family in the kingdom, as each family's help, all of us are helped.
I love it. Hermond or Barry, you got Reverend Mills. He's in South Carolina, and he says, you know, their biggest need was around foreclosure, eviction. There in Philadelphia, Pastor Murphy's saying is student loans, right? Are you? And I know this wasn't pre-planned, but just in your observation, are there certain distinct needs in certain environments that or are we seeing similar needs across all African American communities? You follow what I'm saying? Like, or do you say, hey, inner cities got this student loan issue, and you know, smaller cities are there any geographical patterns that you're seeing from an economic standpoint that we're facing in our communities, just geographically?
I won't speak to the geographic. I think it's consistent. What the key obstacle I do see, however, is mindset. And by mindset, ego, pride, and fear of shame. There are people who are suffering, who know they are suffering, who know there's help out there, but ego or pride won't let them ask for it. And I said it earlier, your pride will get you put outside. In this environment, we all know the pandemic happened. People are still reeling, as I said earlier. It wasn't your fault. You don't play with bats. You don't go around picking up little germs and putting it in people's food. It happened. All right, it happened. But now in our community, oftentimes we're taught, don't put your business in the street. And that has hurt us because with that in the back of our mind, we're like, I need help. But if I get out there, people will look at me differently. I don't care how you look at me as long as I'm getting the help I need. If I can get the help I need, stay in my house, have a better credit rating, educate my child, or be able to invest knowledgeably, I'm all to the good. So I think one of our biggest obstacles is to get beyond that whole shame and prideful thing. Eviction is a big deal, and student loan is a big deal. And I'm blessed to have Barry Coleman, who is an expert on student loan management. So I'm gonna pass it to Barry and let him offer his perspective.
Yeah. So, I'll say that certainly when people have less resources to begin with, it's more important that they get this financial education and counseling because they're already living on the margins. And so they don't have a lot of wiggle room. And so when you make financial mistakes or you run into financial difficulty, it can carry a lot more weight than if you have more resources. And, quite frankly, our communities have fewer resources. And so it's vitally important that we gain this financial knowledge and education and talk to people that have your best interests at heart, share what you're going through and, allow this help to help you. So I would say the problems cross geographic areas, but I think it's more about, helping those in communities that tend to have less, that can benefit more from this education and counseling assistance that's available.
Awesome. I just want to say, as a preacher, Hermond, one things that we love as preachers is what Andy Stanley calls sticky statements. And those are statements you cannot forget. And in interest of not being privately plagiarizing you, I'm going to publicly tell you right now, that pride will get you put outside, will be preached. I'm probably going to say, Hermond Palmer said, pride will get you put outside one time. I'm going to say that one time. I'm going to say who you were. After that, bro, I'm going all over the country. I'm just telling you so that we can get this straight online. I'm telling you right now, it's going viral if I can help it.
Thank you. Feel free.
I love it. In all seriousness, I know our time is rapidly past, but it's certainly time well invested, right? Excuse the analogy of investment of time, but beyond this experience we're having right now, how can faith-based organizations and consumers not just find out information about NFCC? We see the website, we see that. Like, what is the best way of making the next step? So even if it seems like it's trite to even state it, I'm saying somebody who's saying, I need to do something. I got to come out of this closet. I got to stop hiding, because that's another word, pride, outside, and because I continue to hide. I'm like Jesse Jackson now. I'm rapping. Like, what does somebody need to do now? Like right now.
Right now.
In 60 seconds.
Okay. Right now, if you're an individual looking for help, you can call out 800 toll-free number 833-691-6299. You can also go into www.nfcc.org/faith-based. But if you are an organization and you want to connect with us and partner with us, you can go to Faith-Based Alliance at nfcc.org. Again, that's Faith-Based, BASED Alliance at nfcc.org. And I know this is a faith-based program, but it is open to other organizations who want to partner with us. For example, in our community and in many communities and cultures, the faith-based institution is the spine of that community. So, but there's also fraternities, sororities, civic organizations, other nonprofits. As long as you're willing to partner with the faith-based organization in your local market area, come on, we'd be glad to have you. Can I thank you all?
Awesome.
I want to thank Pastor Battle. I want to thank Pastor Mills, Pastor Murphy, Barry Coleman, and Urban One for allowing us to have this wonderful and hosting us on this wonderful opportunity. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Absolutely. And Michelle Vessels for being the mastermind behind it
Absolutely.
all. I want to close with this thought really quickly. There are many verses in the Bible that talk about perishing, but two that come to mind is where there's no vision, people perish. And then in Hosea, the book of Hosea, it says people perish for lack of knowledge. Right?
Yeah.
And it's kind of hard. The knowledge that we need financially, it's kind of hard to have a vision when I don't have intelligence or knowledge, or I'm not empowered in that way. And I want to thank you guys, especially you pastors who are bringing it to your congregation, and you, Hermond and Barry, for your service in this area. You're giving us the knowledge we need so that we can have a vision. And I want to thank you all for that. And on behalf of Urban One and the National Foundation for Credit Counseling, thank all of you for joining us today. I'm Keith Battle. It's been my honor and pleasure to host this time with you. Thanks so much to all of you for tuning in. Now let's make sure we're going to take what we heard and learn today and apply it to our lives, not just hear it, but apply it to our lives in context. God bless all of you.